KBC gives you the opportunity to come together and be part of a larger group so that you can share ideas and that you can develop outside your four walls and your shoestring gets just a little bit longer. We've all been brought to the same place at the same time for the same need. Connection with something bigger and better than ourselves. And that's not just from a spiritual perspective, a physical perspective, a business perspective. We have had opportunities have presented themselves, and Melissa says, of course. Most of us keep our mouths shut and go, no way. But somewhere deep inside there's a little voice that says, oh yes, way. That will work. And if you haven't heard about Taste of Keller, it is absolutely the example of, could we do it? Of course. No way. Yes way. And it's going to kick off to be one of the biggest things in Keller in decades. If you're not part of it, you need to be. But all of that has come together in 1 year to a place where Taste of Keller in 5 years, the target is to be as big as Addison. And me, when it started, I went, sure, no problem. After I've seen it, we will be there in 5 years. And you can't imagine how it feels to have been in that room then and to be in this room today. It is a phenomenal place for me on my little perch to get to watch this organization do what it's done in 1 tiny year, full of huge moments.
This is really deterring from my agenda.
If I could have given a rose to everybody in that room, I would have, and instead, it's a big bouquet for KBC, and take it home with you.
Thank you. I'm gonna put it down here.
And don't auction it off.
In my mind, I'm going, door prize, door prize. Just kidding. You guys, that's very humbling, and I've always been the first person to stand up and say that this is not the Melissa Steen show. I'm just the crazy person willing to put the action forward on the dream, okay? Could not have done it without the group of people that have believed in me and said, absolutely, we'll stand behind you. So I appreciate turning 1 year old. I appreciate you even more as a small business owner, as I now can put myself in that. It's painful to get to that year mark, so I'm very excited for KBC. Moving back to what I like to do, in the middle of your table for everybody is a Happy Meal. I need somebody to identify themselves as the leader at your table of 6 or 8 immediately. Who's the leader? Right?
Right there, Bear Creek, right?
Right.
Accurate! I am the leader, Jake.
There is $500 inside that Happy Meal. Who's the leader? Just kidding. Here's the deal. You identified at your table who the leader is. Inside of that Happy Meal are Legos. KBC is very similar to the Happy Meal in front of you. It took pieces and people to put them together. The leader needs to now take the action throughout the meal, and I want you to build something with your Legos. Cindy Johnson's going, dang it. Your job is to build something with those Legos that make up a community. All right, this is not rocket science. Build a car, build a house, build a church. But what does your table identify as something very important in the community? Okay, so be working on that, leader at the table. Matt Hayes, if you'll come forward. So we're going to work on that quietly through the luncheon. Okay? Every month it's really important for me to acknowledge the people that are doing something fantastic and amazing in KBC. This month, our member of the month is Lisa Grissom, attorney at law, and I'd like to explain why. Lisa, do you want to come forward? I don't know where you're sitting. Ambassador of the month. Apologies.
The attorney, get it right.
Lisa sends me emails all the time, and you know what her tagline is on the email? Lisa Grissom, attorney at law, connecting the community to KBC. So I cannot tell you her efforts out there in spreading the word and acquiring new members and just talking positively about the organization and what we're doing. It is my pleasure to announce the Ambassador of the Month, Lisa Grissom.
Awesome.
When we look at the member of the month and how that qualifies, these are members that are fully engaged into KBC, giving back something of a service level from their own business, and you see them everywhere. It's impossible not to see this person because he's branded KBC. One of the smartest things I did is took the most time and effort into what does KBC need to look like to the consumer. Our member of the month is Ronnie Landreth with Out of Bounds Designs. Everything you see that we put out, Ronnie has done. Our KBC wheel, our KBC logos, everything that's branded for Taste of Keller, every t-shirt that we wear, Ronnie Landreth is behind that, and he can be behind you too. Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you. Yeah. I just want to say a quick thank you to Melissa, KBC, all the members. It's just been a privilege to design and do everything that we've done over the past year and the events that we're going to do the rest of the year and years to come. But very passionate about design. It's something that I love to do. I've been doing it a long time. I'm actually celebrating 20 years next month in the design industry. So if you're in need of a logo, you know someone who does, or if you have an existing logo that just needs a facelift so you can look as good as KBC does, let me know. I would love to work with you. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Every month these lunches are able to happen because somebody has said, Melissa, I'm willing to stand behind it financially and make sure it's a success. Everything I've done from day one has required the backing of financial sponsors. There's no dream bank account sitting over at Wells Fargo that has $1 million in it and that I'm just pulling out of. Our first sponsors, when I first met them, I knew I wanted to be a part of what they were doing. And when you think about McDonald's, you think about French fries and Big Macs, filet of fish, quarter pound of French fry, icy Coke, fixed shakes, sundaes, and apple pies. From a marketing perspective, that's genius. But when I met them, I was at the Chamber of Commerce and they were opening up their location on 1709 and had remodeled, and I got to hear their story. And I stopped thinking about McDonald's as a franchise on every odd corner in town. It became a story of a community provider and a servant. Shawner and Karen McWilliams, if you would come forward. But Shawner and Karen put a passion into their McDonald's branches with their youth. And that's what really struck me because that's the future of Keller, Texas and the future of this community. I'm going to let them talk a little bit about it, but your lunch today is being provided by them, and I know they've left you all a special treat too.
Well, it is our pleasure today to sponsor and provide food for today's luncheon. Chalmer and I are so impressed with the Keller Business Connection and how involved and how you get out and get involved with the community and the businesses and whatnot. But before we talk a little bit about ourselves, I wanted just to give a big applause to all of our staff in the back. If you guys I I would say that back there, it represents probably about 200 years of service to McDonald's, and that includes Chow and ours time too. I've been at McDonald's for 35 years, started when I was 14 years old, and a lot of the folks back there have the same story. So we are Mick family, if you will. But thank you guys for pulling it together, working hard, making sure it was hot and fresh, and thank you all for letting us host it. Chalmer and I moved to Keller 20 years ago. We raised our family here, and we love Keller, we love the community. We have 2 children who we have loved raising in a community like Keller, and so it's just a blessing to be here today. We believe in Ray Kroc's message that none of us is as good as all of us, and that's our philosophy in business and in family. We also follow a couple things I want to mention, and then I'll turn it over to Chow. We also follow a philosophy in our company, which is, and if you write down the initials ARCH, like Golden Arch, we really follow ARCH. And what we do is A means appreciate each other, R means respect each other, C, do it in a calm and clear way, and H, always be honest. And if you do those 4 things, whether it's in family or life or business, you get through everything. So at least that's my personal motto, and I know that's what I try to do every day of my life. One other fact that I think I'd love to share with you all is that for about 10 years we've been involved in a school night program, and just last year with all of the schools in the Keller school district, we donated over $25,000 back to the schools. We've been doing that for 10 years, so you can do the math. And that just represents 3 of our restaurants. So we're very, very involved, and we love our schools. One other thing on your table, we have these little awesome French fry boxes, and in them is a free meal on us. And the other card is a frequency card. So when you present it, you get a punch, and eventually, I think it's the 5th meal, you receive a free meal. And then we have a special gift for everybody that our staff's going to pass out. But we also have a little notepad if you guys want to put this in your purse and jot down notes or whatever just to have. So thank you and also when they're done passing out, we're going to talk in a few minutes. They're going to pass out a really awesome dessert. And Chalmer, you want to describe it?
I can.
It's awesome. And so I'll step aside, but thank you again.
I got to tell you, I'm probably one of the most blessed men in the world. Not only do I have a very beautiful business partner, but she's pretty amazing. She says it all, doesn't she? Karen is straight up. We started in McDonald's, gee whiz, we're on our 21st year. When we got into McDonald's, our very first restaurant was at John Peter Smith County Hospital. How many people have been down there to that hospital? That restaurant on the first floor is ours. It was our very first restaurant, and we were the youngest franchisees in the world when we opened that store. Wow. So kind of cool. And then just another quick tidbit that was kind of fun, because it's neat to know who your community leaders and business folks are in your community, things you can brag about. In 2004, we were blessed to receive the Golden Arch Award, which is the highest honor given to owner-operators on a worldwide platform. And Karen and I actually got that, which was cool. So one of the things that we did, though, is that we bring our very family involvement to our communities and our business. And what we would love to be able to share with you is that when you drive through Keller, if you get a hunker and you get a Big Mac attack, if you want to do something indulgent, if you want to do something healthy, the options and the choices are there. The quality of food that you find in McDonald's, I don't know that we toot this horn often enough, but the quality of food that is found in McDonald's is actually at a higher level than you mostly find in your grocery store. Just a quick snippet, a lot of people don't know this, it'd be kind of a fun thing you can tell at the next party. When the mad cow disease came through the United States of America back in the early 2000s, I don't know whether you even knew that it had happened, but the FDA didn't know how to track the cows that they were having problems with. McDonald's Corporation stepped in and helped the federal government figure out a system to solve how to track cows. So it is amazing the infrastructure that is McDonald's. So please, we have spent almost $2 million in our community in the last several years remodeling and redoing all of our restaurants. And we would love it if you would come in and show some love. We would appreciate that very much. But thank you very much for allowing us to be a sponsor and to be able to provide lunch for you. Hopefully, And I think we've got some strawberry cream pies that have just come out of the oven, and we're going to be passing those out. I got to tell you, Karen told me, she said, "Charlie, you got to try one of these." And I'm like, "Baby, I don't want to try that." And she goes, "No, you have to try one." I go, "No, I don't want it." She goes, "Why?" I go, "Because I know I'm going to like it." And it's funny though, you know, McDonald's is a balance. Enjoy your indulgent treats, enjoy your healthy choices. You can't give Bob all of your business at night. Come on by for dinner. But thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Another big cry out. You know, let me just say this. I have to toot the horn. Lupe, would you raise your hand? Lupe Hernandez. She is our manager at our Keller store that provided all the food today. Fun story about Lupe. Yeah, no, absolutely. They're never going to put me in front of a microphone again here. Lupe started with us in 1995. She was a crew person. Lupe and I were running the store at I-35 and East Barry, if you guys can take yourself mentally there. It's a very exciting neighborhood. And it was our third restaurant. We were the very first McDonald's restaurateurs to get a franchise with the Chevron, where we had a liquor license to serve the beer, had to have a tobacco permit to sell the Marlboros, and we were selling Big Macs. And we had to measure the fuel, we had to do the whole thing. On Sundays, we had such a challenge getting employees to show up for work. It was Lupe, myself, and one other young lady, and we ran the store the entire day. So Lupe, I love you, man. You're doing great. But I can tell that same kind of story with almost every individual in the room. But come by and see Lupe's store. Thank you very much.
For those of you that chose the selection of the double cheeseburger with bacon, you can thank me. Because they said they were bringing out a selection of menu items that I was like, oh, that's not what I order at McDonald's. I would like to see the cheeseburger. Anyway, thank you guys. We really appreciate you. Our next sponsor for today's luncheon is somebody that we all know of. You can't hear the word golf tournament and not think of them. You can't drive down Katy Road and not see them. And they have such a strong presence during the Christmas season in the community. But I'd like to introduce Dwight Roberts, who's the Executive Director of Christ Haven for Children.
Haven, doing what we've done for 60 years. Providing a warm, loving, stable home for kids who are in need. We've served over 5,000 kids on our campus during this 60-year period. Our newest program is our Teen Mom program. So we have a house that provides security for teen moms and their children. And we're trying to mentor them, give them life skills so that the day comes that they will be able to take care of themselves and their children. We placed a new teen mom just a couple of days ago, 15 years old. She has a 17-month-old and she's pregnant, expecting her second. We're wanting to give them hope and offer them another way of seeing things. So that's the thing that we're most excited about. That's the newest for us. On your table, in the middle of the table, there is a flyer about our golf tournament. Our 21st golf tournament is coming up on April the 28th, Monday, April 28th. All you golfers, we'd love to have you come play. Business owners and decision makers, we would love to have you sponsor, provide sponsorship or bring a team out and participate. It's a lot of fun. It's in memory of Byron Nelson, who is a supporter of Christ Haven along with his widow Peggy. And so we'd love for you to come play. I think Laura is the person you need to talk to. She has all the information about the golf tournament. And LaToya, would you come up here and tell them about your new project?
Good afternoon. Starting in March 18th, we will host a Lunch and Learn. We'll do it quarterly, 1 hour of your time. You'll have a tour of Christ Haven, and then over lunch, a short presentation. We will not solicit donations at that time. I know that's hard for me, but we will not. So I invite you to sign up. Liz will have a sign-up sheet today, but every quarter, we will host a Lunch and Learn, and so hopefully you'll have an opportunity, 1 hour from 12 to 1, to come and tour Christ Haven and hear a little bit more about us. Okay, thank you.
If you can't come at one of those times, come another time, I'll give you the $100 tour for free.
Wow.
Anytime you want to come see up close and personal what we do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm sorry the video didn't work. I'll tell you, one little snippet of a story from that video. We have a young man whose father died when he was 2, his sister died when he was 4, and his mother died when he was 14, and that's when he came to live with us. It's difficult, very difficult for him. He'll tell you he hated it when he first came here. But as time went on and his emotions calmed down, he got to know house parents, other residents, so on. He began to grow and thrive. And one of the best things that I did last year in June was to go watch him walk across the stage when he graduated from auto mechanic school. And so he's now living on his own, has a girlfriend, has an apartment, and fixes cars 5 days a week. And we're very, very proud of him. And that's just one of the stories that we have to tell. We don't win with every kid that's placed in our care, but we win with enough of them that I think we're going to make the Hall of Fame. Thank you for your support of us and for your concern about our work. And again, come see us and I'll show you around.
Our speaker today is somebody that's really close and dear to me. I sat with him, probably the first time that he came on my radar was through the Keller Rotary. And the Rotary meets once a week at Sky Creek, and now has on Tuesday, thank you John Paul, Rotarian John Paul, on Tuesday at noon at Sky Creek Ranch, and they also have a brand new satellite club that is on Thursday at 7 o'clock in the morning. That was the first time I got to be in the presence of Ross Paterson. And when Ross, ever since I've met him, talks, I shut up. And that's a rare thing, okay? He demands a presence because he gives value in what he's saying. Ross was the president Rotary for a year. I know that he does international mission trips over with Afghanistan and does leadership programs there. But Ross is a business coach. And when I sat down with my little piece of paper and said, this is my dream of KBC, Ross was literally the person that sat across from me and held me accountable for my own thoughts. And that's important when somebody says, this is how you can grow your business. I really hope that you understand the importance of Ross to this community and what he's done for the Keller Rotary Club, as well as what he's done for so many of us here. I know there's a few of you that are his personal clients. Ross Paterson and his lovely wife Shannon is here as well, but welcome Ross.
I have a really hard time standing still while I'm talking, so you know, if everything goes worse with the audio-visual today, it's my fault. I accept responsibility for the video not working, and I think we're a little short of time, so we're going to make a few abbreviations to the presentation that I was going to do, just so we can give you guys some real value. You know, I started my career when I graduated from college in the Army, and I was, any veterans in here? Veterans? All right, yeah, thank you. Any infantrymen in here? 11 series soldiers? Do you guys know who they put in the infantry? Yeah, they put the guys that are stronger than they are smart in the infantry, right? And I was overqualified. So anyway, when I left the Army, I started working for GE, and got my first taste while working for GE to go start a little joint venture they had called GE Sports Lighting Systems. I say little because it was little to the other businesses I've been part of, but it was a $20 million joint venture at the startup, you know. And so I really got a good taste for small business there, and my entrepreneurial life started from there. So the name of my business is look at that. All right, try this one more time. Is Extra Mile Performance, XM Performance, and people often ask me, "Hey Ross, how did you get to be a coach?" And I tell them, well, I really have been a coach my whole life. This is my son Jamie. Can you turn those lights off for me, Shannon, please? This is my son Jamie up at the top left. He's a wrestler for Timber Creek High School, and I've been coaching him for about 10 years. These are my daughters, Erin and Jenna, softball players. Erin's playing at Laterno University now. I just love coaching my kids. And this is my wife Shannon. And you know, the golden rule of coaching is never ever coach your spouse, right? Hey, it's just not worth it, right? Anyway, so I try to keep myself safe by doing those kind of things. I've been training a bunch of high school wrestlers for, since they were in 6th grade, and they're really getting strong now, and I'm really getting old now. They're starting to hurt me. So I have to spend more time helping them from the side of the mat. Like Melissa said, my first thing I started from scratch was a little nonprofit called Global Fusion. And here's my friend Bashir, and that city behind us is actually the city of Herat, Afghanistan. And this is a little cliff we climb to stay in shape when I'm traveling. And Bashir's just a really, really good man. Don't believe everything you hear in the news. I'd love to tell you some more stories about that if you're interested. And then, of course, the first business I started, for-profit business, was XM Performance. And I do coaching and consulting for small business owners, try to help them think differently about their businesses. John Paul, can you do me a favor? Could you move that easel up over here for me, please?
Yes.
Thank you. And then, of course, I can't do anything without starting something else new. So my business partner, Micah Bueller's back there for Innovative Seating and Mobility. I decided yeah, that's fine.
Over there?
Yeah. Thank you. And, I think we started that business because we had the right guy, Mick Kaufman, who runs that business. And then Mike and I have a different set of skills than Mick. But I really wanted to be the guy, not the guy who coaches from a perspective of, I read a lot of books and been to a lot of schools and coaching certifications, but a guy who practices what he preaches, right? And so that business is about 2 years old. We just missed $1 million in our second year by about that much. But growing quickly, doing some great things, providing some medical equipment for kids with mobility issues. So the serial entrepreneur problem is one I've had for a long time. Even in the Army, my jobs were very different all the time. I love starting new things. I'm not as good at managing the old things, but Mike is really good at that, and Mick are. So we have some great strengths that we put together. So how many of you guys have ever seen these numbers on the backs of cars? Do you know what these numbers are? What's that first one? Half marathon, right. The second one? Yeah, that's a full marathon. And the third one? Half Ironman and Ironman. Full Ironman race, right? 140.6 miles. That's roughly the distance from Keller to Hillsborough and back. That's the race that an Ironman athlete does every year. And you say, who would do that? And I say, it takes two things, right? Remember, I was in infantry. You got to be tough enough to do all the training to get ready for that race. You can't just show up the day and finish that race. And two, you got to be dumb enough to do all that training to finish the race. It's crazy. Who's going to get up at 4:30 in the morning and sit on this for 6.5 hours to put 100 miles in on his bike? Who's going to do that? Infantry guys. Chief Hafner is a half Ironman. There's several guys in here that do this kind of racing. And the experience of doing the Ironman really taught me some things, getting out there and do that. And what I want to do is share some of the lessons I learned from doing the Ironman race and training for the Ironman race. Okay, so these are leadership lessons for the Ironman. What's really crazy is that the pros who run those races finish them in around 8.5 hours. They're running 5-minute and 30-second miles on the marathon after they rode 112 miles on their bike. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, when you look at that and you've never done anything like that, you think that's impossible. Who could do that? Well, I told you who does that. Anyway, but the leader's job, whether you're in a business or a church or a school or a police district or whatever, the leader's job, and this is a quote from Condoleezza Rice, is to make the impossible seem inevitable. Write that down. The leader's job is to make the impossible seem inevitable. And I just want to thank Karen and Chalmer for giving you guys these great notebooks. If you don't have a pen, borrow one, because we're going to give you some gems here very quickly that could seriously change the performance of your business and the direction of your life. So, one of the first things I had to learn about swimming triathlon was to listen to people that have been before me, face my fears. I want to show you this picture of the race start, and that race start in Hawaii is pretty calm. They start in the water. The one I did, they start on the beach shore, 2,000 lemmings running down the sand into the water, and it was chaos. And so I think it's important to show this picture from my very first race. Now, the Ironman race is 140.6 miles. That's from Keller to Hillsborough. There are sprint triathlons, which I did the first time, which is about halfway around part of Keller, very short race. So this is me coming out of the water on my very first race, And I don't put this up there to show how I bronze up in the summer with my pale skin, but I want you to notice all the people in the lake behind me. Do you see them? It's kind of a little fuzzy, but there aren't many, right? I was about maybe the 9th to the last person coming out that day. Now, a lot of people have told me, open water swimming's tough, Ross, open water swimming's tough. You should, go practice in the lake. I swam in lakes my whole life, What's the big deal? Well, when you're out there with 400 other people and the waves are chopping and you can't see anything because it's a Texas lake, you can't see your arm going by, it's a little creepy. And then you get your goggles kicked off your face and you run into another guy and all this kind of things happen. I was hanging on a jet ski trying to get some water out of my lungs thinking, I'm riding this thing in, buddy, I'm not going to finish this. But then I thought about my son, Jamie, he was standing right about there, waiting for me to come off. I gotta finish this thing. So I kept going and kept going and kept going, almost drowned, backstroked a lot of the way. It was really bad. It was really, really bad. Like Shannon's there with the video camera, we got this home video, and you see her, she says, we must have missed him. Jamie, go see if his bike's still there. And 20 seconds later you hear the footsteps coming back. No, his bike's still there. Anyway, so that was a half-mile open water swim. A month later, I did a full Olympic distance, which is a mile swim, right? And guess what I did? I sucked just as bad as I did on that first swim, because guess what I did? I went right back to the pool, and I trained in the pool, doing my swimming, the same kind of thing. So I said, man, this is stupid. This hurts. Why would I do this to myself? Well, I was in the infantry for a reason, so I waited 2 more months, didn't change anything about my training, went back, I was just going to do another sprint triathlon up in Lake Lewis, and guess what happened? Same thing. I still stunk up the swim. One of the last, the very back of the pack coming out of it, but man, you can pass a lot of slow people on your bike and with your run when you come out of the water that late. A little redemption maybe, I don't know. Anyway, but a lot of small business owners do the same thing. We think, oh, if I just keep doing this, I'm going to get this different result, and it's not true. And we stay away from the things we're afraid of, right? When I first started my business, I started with a partner, and his name was David, and he was supposed to be the guy bringing the marketing and sales know-how to this consulting firm we were starting. Well, about 3 months into the thing, he flaked out and left, and there I am sitting there. I don't know anything about sales and marketing. Anybody really love sales and marketing? It should be. The KBC should be full of people that do that, right? But some of the other business owners, it's hard for you, and I know it because I was there, right? And so what do you do about that? Well, you do the same thing I did to get better at the swim and triathlon. I first told this guy, Lincoln Murdoch, a very experienced Ironman triathlete, I'm having trouble with the open water swim. And he says, oh, are you practicing in the lake? No. Ross. You got to practice what you're not good at, right? And I didn't even know where to start on consultative sales. It's not the same as product sales. So I went to this guy, Tim Shepelak's boot camp. I paid for 3 days of training. He broke down all my bad sales paradigms. He gave me a new paradigm to go out there and do it and say, hey Ross, it's really it's malpractice for you if you don't offer to help somebody. I'm like, oh, genius, right? Made every dollar that I paid him right there. And then I had an ongoing guy, Michael, who had to kick me in the butt, because I was really uncomfortable about going out there and marketing and selling and doing those kind of things. And so every other week I got on the phone with Michael, and he said, did you do your work, Ross? Hey, you're paying him, you gotta tell him the truth, right? Let me see your revenue, right? So invest in yourself, right? If there's something you're missing, guess what? Even an infantryman can learn new tricks. And you can too. Usually the things you're most afraid of are the things you won't do, and it's usually the things you know the least about, right? So that's the way you start beating that down. And then, man, you got to schedule the hard stuff first. The picture's kind of dark, but I started going to the lake every Friday and swimming the next season. Every Friday, we went down to the lake and swimming. And so this guy, Scott, says, Ross, why do you like open water swimming so much? And I was like, I don't like it. It's hard for me, but if I don't do it, I can't be a triathlete. I don't get to play it, right? So we would go down every Friday, just some of my buddies. And then, the last thing you have to really do to face those fears is just be an overcomer. KBC is a great overcoming organization. A lot of people didn't want to see KBC succeed, but it's meeting a great need for the business community in the Keller area. And it's meeting that need where some other people might not have been. And so they get to play because they're adding value, right? And just have that overcomer's mindset about everything. I always just look at, man, if that guy can swim a mile, I can swim a mile. He knows something I don't know. Let me go buy him lunch and I'll ask him, right? And you know what they kept telling me? You should go to the lake and practice at the lake, Ross. I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to do that. Lesson number 2, partner with the best. This is Doug and Chad. They were my training buddies on the whole way through it, because it's really not about the race, it's about the year you put in getting ready for that race. You have to sign up for that race the day after the race the year previously ended, and they sell out. You know, so there are 2,000 people that are as dumb as me that pay $800 or $900 to go do this race, you know, and then train all year to do it, right? And so it's kind of funny because you saw how that swim looked. So I lost these 2 guys at the swim start, never saw them, right? I passed them on the bike route a couple of times. They were coming back, they were a little ahead of me. And then when we got to the marathon, about 8 miles into the marathon, because we practiced together so much, I caught right up to them, and we finished the last 17 miles together. Pretty amazing experience, you know. And if you're not partnered with the right people, then you're probably not going to make it very far. If you're not partnered with people who can take you somewhere you haven't been, then you're hanging out with the wrong people, right? That's what I love about KBC, because there are some real go-getters. Anything you need to learn is a lunch away right here. A lunch away right here. Only you got to go ask them, right? And this is my team at Innovative Seating and Mobility. Mike is back there. He's the CFO guy. He teaches about numbers and process and procedure. Mick is our president. He runs the day-to-day. Exceptional young man, the kind of guy I want to invest a long time with. And I carry the bags and set the table up and do things like that for them. But you know, partner with the best people. If you're partnering with people that aren't contributing to you, find some new people, right? Life's too short. Life's too short. Next, goals, plans, and actions. This is simple, right? Here's the problem that I experience coaching people is everybody already knows everything. Do you guys anybody have that problem? Yeah. Yeah, adults. It's very hard to be a trainer, teacher of adults because they already know everything, you know? And if you have that problem, you know, go do an open water swim. Want better results, it's not just about actions, right? I could give you every tool I have in the XM performance business, and you might get a 10% improvement on your business. But how you feel about things determines how you act on them. And how you think really drives all that, right? So my real goal is I can change how somebody thinks, then I can really make it 10 times or 20 times difference in their business because they change how they're doing. Who are the most dedicated people to eating clean and getting in shape? The ones who just survived a serious health crisis, right? Why? Because their thinking has changed about what they need to do, and their feelings and emotions are serious about that, right? But don't wait for that, right? Start taking care of it now. All right? So anybody remember the good old days? Guy named Tom Landry? Yeah. Yeah. He used to say this: setting a goal is not the main thing, it's deciding how you go about it, how to go about achieving it and staying with that plan, right? And so keep in mind, I was in infantry. Things got to be simple, right? Things got to be really simple. So here is a plan for getting ready for the Ironman. Swim a lot, ride a lot, run a lot, rest a lot, and then race. Pretty simple, right? The good thing about that is you can eat whatever you want that year. It doesn't matter. I could not eat enough food while we were going through that process, and I ate about 7 big meals a day when we were really ramping up the time. So anyway, so small business is the same. Small business is so simple, right? Revenue minus cost equals profit. Whose business is that not true for? See me afterwards, all right? And that's built on a foundation of people, of systems and processes, and finance, right? This is true for every small business. You know why small businesses fail? Because a lot of owners take this piece out and they try to be Johnny Atlas, holding that whole thing up by themselves, and it's a diminishing return equation. How many 80-hour weeks do you really want to work? None, right? You got to let somebody else do things besides you if you want your business to grow, right? So how do you turn a goal into a plan? I'm going to go through this very quickly. Now listen, I'm going to give you a contact information. I got a great little tool to teach you how to turn a goal into a plan somewhere right here. And if you'll sign up for our email list or just even give me a card if your phone's smarter than you like mine, I'll send this to you. But here's what you got to do. All right. So first, define it. If you can't define what you want, you're never going to get there, right? Measure it. If it's not measurable, it's not important, right? I tell all kinds of people, they say, hey man, I'm a really good marketer. I'm like, oh really? How are your sales? You know, because I don't think you're a good marketer if you just have a lot of friends and no sales, right? It's just true, right? So you might be a great networker, but you're a bad business person, right? Because if your marketing's not turned into sales, you're doing something wrong. So, and this is what's important. Once you define it, understand the benefits and consequences, right? And you know, they say you run a lot faster from a German Shepherd than towards a gold medal, right? And I think the fastest I ever rode my bike was in Glen Rose. I was out eating this power bar, kind of taking a break, riding along, and these two junkyard dogs started running down this fence beside me, and I was thinking, holy cow, I'm glad that fence is there. And then there's this little dip in the ground, and those two dogs came over there right after me. And I threw the power bar at them, hopefully distract them, and I probably rode about 50 miles an hour for a short sprint there. But, you know, you got to understand, you know, if you're thinking it's the problem, then the benefits is only one motivator, and the consequences are another. What are the consequences if you don't start making your business run better? 80-hour weeks, low paychecks for the rest of your life, right? Who wants that? I can't help you. Okay. Then, potential barriers. What was my barrier to the open water swim? I wasn't going anywhere near the open water except on race day, right? Remove that barrier and plan to remove that barrier. Plan for that barrier before it gets there, and all of a sudden, you start making better progress on that, right? Break it down into some key action steps that you can make up there. We did not get ready for the Ironman in a year. We were training for 2 or 3 years before we even signed up for it. And after I did my first half Ironman, I almost threw my bike in the lake and said, who would do a full Ironman? You know? And my buddy said, give yourself a week, Ross, before you throw your bike in the lake, right? And a week later, I was feeling better, and I said, I can probably do better than that, right? And then you got to have some time. And lastly, you know, that mindset's got to change, you know? And a good example of this is, I see business owners all the time struggling with, they say this is poison. Every time you hear yourself say this, kick yourself in the butt, right? It's just easier if I do it myself. Who says that? I see you nodding, I know. You know, it's okay, I know it's true for everybody, right? I do it too. It's just easier if I do it myself. What that means is, you haven't taken the time to hire the right people, create a process, and learn how to delegate effectively. Because every job in your business is not a $250 an hour job, and you're probably spending a lot more time doing the $10 an hour work. And who's doing the $250 an hour work when you're not business owners? Nobody, right? And you're not going to get very far with that, all right? Very basic, turning a goal into a plan. All right, last thing, and I'm going to wrap up. This is on race day. Chad and Dave were with me there, and man, sometimes you just can't plan for things. One of the things my triathlon coach told me was, hey Ross, expect 3 things to go wrong on race day, and don't panic, right? One of the things that went wrong on race day was high winds and whitecaps out there on the lake, and it was ugly. If we'd have seen that on the day we were planning to swim in Grapevine, we'd have had breakfast at Snooty Pig instead, right? We wouldn't have gone. And so here are all these athletes standing out there, and they're making announcements going, hey, you know, you don't have to go on the swim, you know, the bike's gonna pick up, but you don't get your Ironman tattoo after that. We're like, man, that sounds pretty good, because that water's looking pretty bad right now. 2.4 miles a long way in those whitecaps. You know, and so I'm over there standing, getting ready. I'm getting way over to the right, away from all the crazy people where there's going to be room to swim. And there's this woman there, and she starts spewing all this negativity. She's saying out loud everything that's going through my head, right? I said, oh my gosh. You know, and I said, hey, listen, you got this wetsuit on, you know, you're going to float. There are divers underneath. There are lifeguards on boards. There are boats. There's a helicopter. You've been training for this for a year. You have got to go for it, you know. Don't give up from the beach, you know. And then you know what I did? I got as far away from her as I could. Because I was afraid I'd start believing her instead of me, right? And this is really important. You know, the last thing is mind your P's, right? You've got to be positive, right? Nobody has time to hang around with negative people. You live in America. Our dogs and cats have better food, water, and medical care than most humans, right? Get over it and get after it, right? Stay positive. If you're hanging around with negative people, sometimes when you start a business, sometimes the most negative people are your family, people close to you. That'll never work. Thanks, honey. I'm just teasing. You know, and but it's worth doing. You know, it's worth doing. Be passionate. You know, life is just too short to work on something you don't really love. You know, and I love new things, so I get after something new every couple of years. And then be patient. You know why they write books about guys who are overnight success in business? Because it's an anomaly. It's an outlier. You got to be patient. You got to have that discipline of building those skills, you know, one bite at a time. And then eventually you'll find out you create that potential for breakthrough. Look at our McDonald's friends are saying that's exactly right. You know, and I have failed a lot of times, you know, in my business, and I've learned a lot of new things, and I keep chasing after relationships with the people who are doing things better than me, and guess what? My potential keeps growing. Even though I was in infantry, we can make some things happen. So, here's a last slide. If you guys want any of that document for putting your plan in place, it's infantry proof. It's got the directions right on the back. I'll be glad to email that to you. And so here's my closing thought, right? This is from the greatest salesman in the world. Failure will never overtake you if your determination to succeed is strong enough, right? And that determination to succeed comes from knowing what you're created to do and being bold enough to go after that. That determination to succeed comes from overcoming your fears, from having a good plan, from working the plan, from making progress, from making setbacks, for overcoming setbacks and making more progress and relooking your plan. If your determination to succeed is strong enough, you live in the best country in the world and you will find that success. I don't have time for questions, but I'll be here afterwards. Melissa, thanks for letting me come. I hope you got something that'll be useful for you out of that. Thanks.
In the Western culture, we introduce ourselves. Hi, Chief Hatner, I'm Melissa Steen. What do you do? Right? And men own that question way more than women, right? Unless you're a stay-at-home mom. I wouldn't ask somebody that does that what they do. But it is, hi, my name's John Smith. I'm an accountant, I'm a doctor, I'm etc. What do you think they ask in the Eastern culture? If you're in leadership, Keller, you are not allowed to answer this. Anybody guess?
What do you do?
Tommy Benson's not allowed to answer this.
What do you do for fun?
What do you do for fun? It's a good guess, but it's, who's your father? Wow. Who is your family? No one has asked me who my father is since I was 10 years old and I didn't get home on time. I want to become like the Eastern culture, and I think that's something that we try very hard in KBC. Who is your family? What do you do? What ties you to this community? Why are you passionate about being a part of this organization? Thank you for that lesson, Ross. I have taken it with me every day. I encourage you to reach out to Ross. It's extreme value.
It was a little over a year ago that Melissa and myself sat at Bottle Cap Alley and we're enjoying a few laughs and talking 90 to nothing, as many of you know that we can do, right? She began to talk about putting something together, a vision, a plan. We got a napkin and dug out a pen and she began writing circles. There they are right there, the circles. Lots of them, all connected for one common good. What shall we call it? Who will be there? And it must have value. Shortly after this encounter, she put a group of people together in one of Jackie's cottages. She laid out every detail of what was in her head and on her heart. Something happened that day. Something very significant and exciting. We had no idea what the future held, but we knew it was a dream and it could be big. We had our first KICK event. In case you don't know what that is, it's the biggest, baddest networking group on the planet. We both showed up early. We were so excited, right? We're both there early and nervous, I might add. 17 people showed up that day. Not quite the number we were looking for, but it was a good start. Today, that group of people that travels around town to different hotspots is 150 plus each time. All of us who sit in this room are a part of KBC, over 900 members and growing daily. What a solid organization. KBC is 1 year old today. Melissa always says, and she's already said it today, I wouldn't be here without y'all. Well, we certainly would not be here without you. Without you, our passionate, fearless leader and visionary. I'm not gonna cry. Guess what you started? In 1 short year, KBC has united commerce to the community, created better business results for our members, and created positive, beneficial experiences for the city of Keller. Exactly what you wanted it to do. We take this moment today to say thank you. Thank you, Melissa Steen, for your dedication, your hard work, your commitment, and your loyalty. We honor you today and say, happy birthday, KBC. It's been a great year.
No door prizes.
Thank you. Sit down, guys. That's insane. I appreciate that. Now we're going to talk about some door prizes. I'm not auctioning this off. Matt's going to take it away. Seriously and real quick, and I wasn't expecting that, and I hate it when people get in on my agendas. I do believe in this. It's sincere, and it is my family. And who's ever watched The Blind Side? You protect your family, right? And you stay positive, and you become your own cheerleader, and you stand behind your own family. You guys, I'm looking forward to next year. We have great things happening for the city of Keller. Not just within KBC, within Keller as a whole. I encourage you to vote, okay? I'm just going to leave you with that and door prizes.